Mother's Day arrived quietly that year. No balloons, no loud surprises, no limousine waiting outside my small apartment. Just sunlight slipping through the thin curtains. Touching the faded photo frames on my wall, snapshots of a life that once felt full and loud and meaningful. I woke up earlier than usual, as I always did. Habit doesn't disappear with age. My body still remembered the years when mornings meant packing lunches, ironing school uniforms, tying shoelaces, and reminding a young boy, my boy, to drink his milk before rushing out the door. I sat up slowly, knees aching, and glanced at the calendar hanging crookedly on the wall. Mother's Day, I smiled to myself. At 72, expectations become smaller. You don't wait for grand gestures anymore. A phone call is enough. A message. Even a short Happy Mother's Day, Mom. I brewed tea in my old kettle, the one with a dent on the side from when my son was 10 and accidentally knocked it off the stove. I never replaced it. Some things hold memories better when they're broken. I carried my cup to the small dining table and sat down. Hands wrapped around the warmth. That's when my phone rang. Mom. My son Daniel said, his voice bright and polished like everything else in his life now. Happy Mother's Day. My heart lifted instantly. Happy Mother's Day to me, I laughed softly. How are you, my son? Busy as always, he replied. You know how it is. Did know, or at least I tried to understand. Daniel was a millionaire now. Self-made, people said. CEO of a tech company I barely understood. He lived in a glass mansion overlooking the city, drove cars worth more than my entire apartment, and traveled the world like it was his backyard. I was proud of him. Deeply, endlessly proud. But pride doesn't fill empty chairs at the table. Listen, Mom, he continued. Clara and I are coming to see you today. I nearly dropped my cup. You're coming? I asked. Of course, he said. It's Mother's Day. Felt something tighten in my chest. He hadn't visited in nearly 8 months. Phone calls were short, visits shorter, and Clara. I asked carefully. Yes, he said. She has a surprise for you. Clara, my son's wife. Beautiful, elegant, always perfectly dressed. The kind of woman who enters a room and makes everything else look unfinished. I thanked him and ended the call, my hands trembling slightly as I set the phone down. I spent the next 2 hours cleaning an apartment that was already clean. Wiping surfaces that didn't need wiping. Straightening picture frames that had been straight for years. I put on my best dress, the navy blue one I wore to church on special occasions, and brushed my hair slowly, staring at my reflection. Age had softened my face. Lines around my eyes told stories no one asked about anymore. I wondered what Clara would think. At exactly noon, there was a knock at the door. When I opened it, Daniel stood there, tall and confident, wearing an expensive watch that caught the light. Clara stood beside him, flawless in a cream-colored dress, holding a large gift bag. Mom, Daniel said, smiling. I hugged him tightly, breathing him in like I used to when he was a child. Clara stepped forward next. Happy Mother's Day, she said politely, kissing the air near my cheek. Thank you, I replied. We sat at the table. I poured tea. Clara declined, saying she didn't drink caffeine anymore. Daniel checked his phone twice before sitting down. Then Clara placed the gift bag on the table. This is from me, she said. Inside was an envelope. Daniel smiled proudly. Open it, Mom. I opened it slowly. Inside was a check for $5,000. My hands froze. Daniel leaned forward, watching my face, and then he asked it. The question that would stay with me forever. Mom, do you like the $5,000 Clara gives you? The room went silent. I stared at the check. $5,000. To them, it was nothing. To me, it was more than my monthly pension. But something inside me cracked. I looked up at my son. Daniel said softly, do you remember the winter you were 12, when you needed new shoes? He blinked. What? You came home, crying because your classmates laughed at the holes in your sneakers. I continued calmly. I worked 3 extra night shifts at the laundry. My hands bled from the detergent, but I bought you new shoes. Daniel shifted uncomfortably. I didn't give you money, I said. Gave you time. I gave you my health, gave you my sleep. Clara frowned slightly. I folded the check and placed it gently back in the envelope. I appreciate this, I said. But what I would like more is lunch together, or a walk, or a conversation without phones. Daniel looked embarrassed. Mom, you know we're busy, he said. I nodded. I know, I replied. I was busy too, when you were little. But I always had time for you. The silence grew heavy. Clara cleared her throat. Well, she said, standing up, we have another engagement. Of course you do, I thought. Daniel hugged me quickly, awkwardly. Happy Mother's Day, he said. Again, they left. The door closed. I sat there alone, the envelope still on the table. And I cried. 3 weeks later, 3 weeks passed. I didn't cash the check. Then one morning, I received a message from Daniel. Mom, can I come alone today? I replied. Yes. When he arrived, he looked different. Tired, unpolite. We sat down at the table again. Mom, he said, his voice low. Clara and I are separating. I wasn't surprised. He looked at me. I didn't understand what you said that day, he admitted. But I do now. He pulled something from his pocket. A small folded piece of paper. It's not a check, he said quickly. It's a letter. I unfolded it. Inside, written in his handwriting, were the words, Mom, I forgot who helped me become a millionaire. I forgot who gave me everything before I had anything. Please forgive me. I want to learn how to be your son again. Tears blurred my vision. He reached for my hand. Do you still have time for me? He asked. I squeezed his fingers. I always did. The real gift that year. My son sold his mansion. He moved closer. He started visiting every Sunday. No checks. No grand gestures. Just time. And on the next Mother's Day, he didn't ask if I liked money. He asked, Mom, can I make you breakfast? And that was worth more than $5,000. Final message money can buy gifts, but presence is priceless.